Richard Curtis is the most splendid, bandy, utter knobhead I've ever met.
I congratulate BAFTA on giving Richard Curtis this award. I can't think of anyone who deserves it more, if only because he makes the world a better place to be.
That I think Richard Curtis is the greatest living Briton, who happens to be from New Zealand.
5 words to describe Richard Curtis. Funny, saintly, didn't write angels. I did, so...
All his work is a sort of seamless thing. The Vicar of Dibley and Blackadder and Notting Hill and Four Weddings and a Funeral and Comic Relief and Love Actually and Make Poverty History are all part of who he is as a man and also as this incredibly talented writer and creative artist.
Well, he's an enigma. Rather like the character of Charles in Four Weddings. When I was sent that script, I never really understood the character because I thought no one in England is both funny and nice. You know, you can't, or not sort of acerbic and nice. But Richard does bring off that strange balancing act.
No, I think what he's a master of is the apparent inability of people to communicate. Certainly that was true of the character I played in Love Actually, and I think it's very true of the character that Hugh Grant plays in Notting Hill.
Richard's funniest lines are undoubtedly Hugh Grant's lines, which are always
But what's actually happening is that he's expressing something very, very precisely in this apparent breakdown of language and this stuttering.
I love those.
The trademarks, I suppose, of a Richard Curtis script, apart from the fact that it will always be intelligent, clever and purposeful, is the fact that every minute and a half or so he'll deliver a world-class joke.
The thing that marks out Richard's work from everyone else's is that it's a seamless part of who he is as a person, and so that he didn't write Love Actually in order to make a crowd-pleasing film. He wrote it because that's his philosophy of life.
Basically, yeah, I'm afraid to say he actually does quite like people. You know, he's the exact... That's what makes me laugh, that I play these characters which are basically him in his films, because he is basically nice and full of benevolence, and I'm basically nasty and full of hatred.
If one is right in thinking that Richard's view of the world is very focused on love as a force in common with all humanity, and love and all its difficulties, that it's the thing that somehow drives us all, which is the thesis of Love Actually. I think that does lie at the root of his work for Africa.
I mean, we all saw the Michael Burke films from, that came out of Ethiopia that instigated Live Aid, but Richard actually went on his own money to go and look and to see what he could do to help.
He invented Red Nose Day. I mean, it's not given to many people to invent a day. There's him and Jesus. I'm not sure how many others I can name.
The Red Nose Day effect is extraordinary. The level of knowledge about issues around poverty is so high in Britain compared to the rest of Europe or America.
He's immensely generous with his time. You know, when it's a comic relief year, he'll give up 6 months of his life, sometimes 12, 18 months, to make sure that something will happen properly.
A couple of years before the Gleneagles G8 Summit, we were in desperate need of the best storyteller we could find to communicate these rather dull issues of debt and trade to the British public. So we asked Richard to take a year off and make poverty history.
Looking back at Live 8, I think it's quite remarkable that his efforts, together with Bob Geldof, got people talking in a way that had never happened before or never would have been possible.
The Girl in the Cafe was a great opportunity for me, and it was something that I'm extremely proud to have been associated with. It was a perfect amalgam of entertainment and information, and it made a big impact all over the world, particularly in America, where it was extremely well received.
His work with Comic Relief and Make Poverty History is responsible for saving the lives, literally, of countless mothers, daughters, fathers and sons across the world.
When looking at what he's achieved, I think it's very, very important to remember that he is also very largely responsible for Hugh Grant. And I think that has to be taken into consideration when looking at the good side of Richard.
Richard, congratulations, mate. You're an absolute national treasure.
I think it's very important that Richard Curtis should own this fellowship, because otherwise, how will he return the ring to Mordor?